Today we're talking about circuit breakers versus fuses. Circuit breakers are resettable devices. When they have an overload current, they can trip out and then you can reset them. Fuses, on the other hand, are a one-time blow. When they get an overcurrent, they'll just burn out the filament inside and you can't reuse them. You have to replace them. With circuit breakers in your house, they're a magnetic device. Circuit breakers and equipment that you use, like you could have a circuit breaker in your vacuum cleaner, you could have a circuit breaker in your one of your pumps, your power strips that you plug things into. Those are a thermal element design. They're slightly different than the ones that are in your fuse panel. Now the reason these are important is because if you have an overcurrent in your house, or if you have lightning strike your house and you want these breakers to trip to save your equipment, you want it to save your home so that you don't get electrical damage. The problem is that with circuit breakers and fuses, they still will not detect arcing in your lines. Okay, you can have in your wall, you could have a rat chew a wire, and it chews it to the point where it is just still together and you're still getting current through it, but it's just touching and it'll arc. Now circuit breakers and fuses themselves will not detect that arc. That'll sit there and arc until it catches fire. Okay? And in the National Fire Protection Association got together with NEC to decide that this is what needs to be added to protection to your home. That you need something else than just an overcurrent, because you don't always have an overcurrent. When it starts arcing, that's not an overcurrent. That's an arc draw between two pieces of wire, and it creates heat and it can create sparks and catch your house on fire. So what they decided was, back in 2001, they decided that it was time to give some kind of specification that says that we need an arc detection. And they started out with coming up with GFI plugs. Okay, GFI plugs are the start of this kind of technology, and what that does is that they put the GFI plugs in the kitchens near the sinks. They put them in the bathrooms near the sinks. Anywhere there was a water source, they wanted a GFI plug. So if there was any kind of short or arcing, that it would kill the power to any kind of electrical appliance around the water sources. As time went on, they kept arguing about whether they needed other places, you know. So they had decided that they were going to, in 2008, extend it out to all the bedrooms and all the living areas in the home, that they would have to have some kind of arc protection. So what they came up with, in terms, Eaton Corporation, Square D, Schneider Electric, they all came up with what they called an arc fault current interrupter. Okay, and that's basically a dual purpose. The arc fault interrupter has a circuit logic that detects arcing in the line. And if it detects arcing in the line, it'll trip the breaker out. Then on the other hand, if you have no arcing in the line but you have an overcurrent, you still have the circuit breaker portion of it, and that will trip out. And the reason this has become so important is because that the National Fire Protection Association, according to the U.S. Fire Administration, each year home electrical problems caused about 70,000 fires in 1 year, resulting in 485 deaths and about $868 million in property loss. So that was a big reason why they needed to change, to get something to protect their houses. And fuses just weren't cut. Fuses are not designed and could never be designed to have an arc fault technology in it. The spacing in the fuses isn't big enough, and because it's a one-time blow, you wouldn't want to spend all kinds of money putting a logic inside of a fuse for it to just blow out. So fuses could never protect your house from an arc. They could protect it from an overload, And thermal element circuit breakers are the same thing. They can protect it from an overload, but they can never protect it from arcing. So what they designed, because they're reusable, they had designed arc fault circuit breakers that were thermal element, and they designed them that were thermal magnetic. So you had the best of both worlds. You had the world where you have in your main fuse box, you have a magnetic circuit breaker that is an arc fault, can detect arcing in it, and then you have a standard circuit breaker that has arc fault that you have in your power strips in your house, that you have in vacuum cleaners, that if your component started to have any arcing in it, it would stop the arc. In Consumer's Report, in the Home Wiring Safety, August 2001, in short states that 1/3 of all homes now are more than 50 years old, and their fuse panels are not up to date. And there's no regulation that says that if your home is 50 years old, you need to revamp it and put in arc fault technology into it. What it basically is telling you is that if you buy a home and you're going to do any kind of modifications, add rooms to it, and you have to put in a new panel, you have to update it then. Or if you're building a house, you have to update it then. Well, what happens to all the people that have the houses that are 50 years old that don't have that technology and can't afford to change out their whole fuse boxes to arc fault technology? Well, they get caught up in that they're one of the 700,000 homes that catch fire. So what the government needs to do is the government needs to set up some system where you can buy this, replace all your your circuit breakers with arc fault technology, and they will give you a discount, tax credit at the end of the year. And your insurance companies, they could save your house by giving you some kind of refund on your insurance if you change this over to the system of arc faults. And then that way they're not paying the money to have your house replaced if it burns down, because you don't have the right protection in your home. You don't have enough protection in your home. And with adding these systems in there, it will help you as a homeowner save your home, and it will help the insurance company to not have to pay out all this money for the 700,000 or 70,000 homes that have burned down for reasons that could have probably been stopped because of arc fault technology. So in short, if you want your home to be protected, you need to change from fuses, and don't use fuses. You need to go change from regular circuit breakers to an arc fault technology that will save your home, because it will detect the arcing in the lines and the walls in your house, and it'll stop that from going on and save your house from being caught on fire. So thank you for coming today, and you all have a good day.